we're coming up here to the fall and winter market, but is there anything that you need from me or anything that I can do for you? And they were like, I'm really glad you called. We actually have a home we need to sell.
What the heck? That is amazing.
Yeah.
I I think a lot of it, I think agents are just getting out, like they're so in their heads about the market just being doom and gloom and nobody wants to move. They're locked into their homes because of the low interest rates. And I hear that from people all the time. And then I'm like, yeah, but what have you literally done in the last 90 days? It's like nothing, like because nobody's moving. It's like you're taking yourself out of the game completely,
Right.
right? That is awesome. So just is your database super organized where you know where to call? Did you start at A in your phone or like give us more?
Yeah, so my database is extremely detailed. So we have hashtags for each and everything. We know who's hot, who's nurtured. We know who we're supposed to be calling. Everybody's making their phone calls every single day. And then now I'm working through my past clients. So I just go down the list and I start at the top in A and work my way to Z and just say, hey, thanks for doing business with me in the past. How's things going? How's the house going? And we're just literally breaking bread, and then here we are.
Yeah, and the question is there like a typical, like I just wanted to reach out to see if there's anything you need help with or anything I can do for you. Is that kind of like your go-to,
Yeah.
like want to get that sentiment across in these calls?
Yep.
Awesome. It's amazing. I wish it was more complicated.
I wish it was. Yeah. I mean,
If it
it'd
was
be
if it was more complicated and it cost a lot of money and there was technology involved, it would be way more attractive to all of us. But
Oh
it's
yeah.
super not sexy. Thanks for sharing, Amanda.
Yep.
Awesome, awesome. All right, who else has a win? Get in the chat. Richie got one new listing, 2 hot buyers. One buyer is 1 million. Richie, I'm gonna let you share on this call because you're so consistent and you're so loyal to just, you are totally married to the process and you have consistently divorced the result. So share something about how you consistently get, what are you scowling at me for?
I
Share.
don't know what you're talking about, but thanks. That was nice of you to say. But yeah, I mean, I'm in the office every day. I'm making the calls, and it's funny. Amanda said she was just doing that, but I was going through my old text messages, and I saw so many text messages of people I just reached out to, and they never got back to me. And I just sent a quick test that Happy Halloween with a Halloween face. Curious if you had it. If there's anything I could do for you, are you still thinking about making a move? Question mark. And like I've had so many people reach out, no, not yet, or maybe in 2025, but at least I'm getting some sort of answers from people. But just going back through your old text messages is amazing how I just came across some leads. I'm like, holy cow, right? So
Awesome.
but the buyer I got was from a referral, which is awesome. It was from a cold call from a guy I sold his house, did a lot of work for him, and now that guy's just been sending me referral after referral, and he was the biggest pain in my rear. I thought he would never give me a lick of anything, but he is like one of my number 1 advocates now, which is so amazing.
And Richie, what do you do for a guy like that that will bring you? Do you put him in the database differently? Do you send him like, or do you have your database segmented where you treat your advocates differently? What do you do for them?
Yeah. So I follow the Buffini program. So we have our A's, A pluses, B's, and C's. So he'll go into my A plus. He gets invited to all of our client events. He's one of our top people for our client giveaways. He's someone I reach out to on a every 2 month basis. Something pops up for either text message, phone call, or a handwritten note card. And that's pretty much how the system works. Every 2 months is just a nice little touch.
Awesome. And what's the sentiment when you call a guy like that? What's the sentiment of your call? Like, what do you want to, is it similar to Amanda? I just want to touch base, see if there's anything I can do for you, or is
Big
it more?
time. Well, with him, since he's given me so much, it's a gratitude call. Like, hey, I just want to reach out again. Thank you so much for your business. It was awesome working with you. And also you sending me all these people, your referrals are the lifeline of my business. Thank you so much. I just want to let you know that really means a lot to me.
Awesome. Really good. Awesome. Awesome. Let's get a few more shares. Everyone has to share a positive focus, either in the chat or you can unmute yourself, but not a single person is not going to share. And even if you're like, I don't have a positive focus, like that is like even more the reason why you have to find one. It could be something little. And I'm gonna even the person I'm looking at right now. Let's see if she notices that I'm looking at her. Oh, she's playing cool, like it's not her. All right, camera's on. Let me see more people. All right, more positive focus. 30,000 price reduction. That's awesome. Save the deal. Amazing. Got my first listing. Amazing. I remember when I got my first listing, I was like, oh my gosh, this person is trusting me to sell their home. They don't know that I've never listed a home before. I think my first 100 deals, I think I did like 2 listings. That's awesome though. Parsons had first closing a few weeks ago from a call into the office phone. Love it, love it. Got a great buyer lead who is an experienced investor ready to buy cash ASAP. Joni just went under contract for a listing that went live on Thursday. Joni, anything to share about lead source on that? Any wisdom you can share? Anything listing related, we always want to hear. Michael Wagon says, hosting a booth local market, days events in a couple months.
I can share on that, Lars.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Well, I met her at a bar. Who says you don't meet listings at a bar? She was my waitress and she had just moved to the area, and you just start up conversation, let them know you're a realtor. She ended up getting a job at my girlfriend's place, and I didn't know her before that, but just developed a relationship with her. I play euchre on Thursday nights, and so I got to see her there, and that's how I got the listing. It's all about relationships for me.
Awesome. I love that. Aaron says, signed a seller from a digital listing appointment. I love that. Taking listings from South Carolina in Colorado. Had a great Halloween event for the public and got 80 additional people entered into my database. Christy, tell us more about that. Where are you? There you are. All right. So tell us what you did. It might be too late since it's Halloween, but maybe next holiday we can do it. So what'd you do?
So you could probably do any sort of event for any reason. But we do this event annually, and we do about 4 events a year, and this is the only one that we have that's open to the public. And every year they say when you do an event to add another tier to that, so make it bigger and better by just adding something. Our event is an outdoor Halloween movie. It's free, and we have free popcorn for everybody that comes. And this year we added trick-or-treating, and we just had people sign up for giveaways. So we gave away 4 free movie passes and then a gift card to like a local fun spot that we have called Main Event here. And we actually just went through all of our sign-in sheets, and we did get 80. There was hundreds of people at this event, but it's 80 names for me to put into my database to just touch over and over again.
Yeah, that's amazing. And the best part of it was the free part. And you probably, how many people did you, so it was open to the public, and your database, you probably invited your whole database, but only 10% ever go to anything. So you get credit for all of that. Anything that you did on social media to drive awareness?
Yeah, I would say all of our driving for this event is social media based. So it's creating an event, getting the venue to share the event as well. We actually have it at a local park that has a brewery and a barbecue place. So that drives people there as well. And we got them to put advertising on their pages, posting it in like the local mom groups, because there's a lot of kids that attend this. I'd say the main driver is definitely social media for us.
Awesome. And like Instagram or Facebook or both?
Both.
Yep. Awesome. So you guys can go stalk Christy on one of her channels, business or personal, or both?
Both. I have a personal Instagram, and then we do business and personal on Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. They're really, really good. Took a new listing, mobile home listing. Got a closing in 2 weeks from a former client. I got neighbors closed last week. Kind of tough buyers. So are they like, hopefully they're moving out if they're tough. Maybe you got rid of neighbors that you don't like. Investment properties now on the market. Awesome. Closed on 3rd property on Thursday. Got a new buyer. Positive Focus finishing up my intro letter, and it's going great. $51,000 price reduction. Awesome. Seller was fighting Kathy. I would not want to fight Kathy. I'm sure I knew you were going to win that one. Very persuasive, like a velvet hammer. Bethany, schedule first appointment, meet with a seller, new buyer referral, expired and listing pre-boxes. Love that. just helped to buy our clothes and dream home, leasing, awesome business planning and gear for 2024, keeping it simple, but focus, taking action over doing more research. New accountability partners for 2024. Always feels good to have people in your corner. Running partners are key. I don't know that I've achieved anything without like somebody that knew I was doing it or like literally gave me accountability. So if you don't have that in your life right now, you probably want to get a running partner. Just someone that, you know, is of like mind, that you can get along with, that you can push. Love that. Past client called me to come list her home 4 years ago, helped them buy. Amazing. Prospecting. Awesome. Really good. Thanks for sharing, everybody. So let's get into a topic that most people don't want to talk about. And I'm not surprised that our attendance is a little bit low today. And I want to unpack this conversation in a way that like you're exactly where you are for a reason, some good, some bad. But the purpose of having this conversation today around finances is so that you can decide today, if you're not where you want to be financially, you can decide today that you're going to end up in a different place in the future. And so the inspiration for this training, it actually came from Jessica, who's been with me for a long time, dealing with some of our paid coaching clients at Real Estate B School, and specifically like people not being able to afford coaching and credit cards being turned off. When we reach out to them, it's like, what's going on? It's like, I have no money. I owe the IRS $140,000. My credit cards are maxed, right? And this is coming out of, and I'm sitting in the sales seat in Real Estate B School. So I'm talking to agents, 3 to 5 agents a day, and I'm getting into like really getting into it with them about where they are. Like, tell me more. So like nothing vague, specifically, what do you owe the IRS? It's like, get the statement. What do your credit cards look like? You know, so I'm in conversations now every day with agents that are just struggling. And this is coming out of like a really good run, right? So you could argue that maybe COVID freaked people out, but then it was like 18 months of like homes are just selling, right? And so I think part of it is I don't really know all of the psychology around it, so I'm not going to claim to be able to unpack that for everyone. There is a good resource that if you struggle, if you're not where you want to be financially, I would recommend The Psychology of Money is a good one and a pretty easy read. And then I don't know why I love this guy, but I've started watching I Will Teach You to Be Rich on YouTube. What's his first name? Ramit, Ramit. And it's just fascinating to see a couple unpack their financial world and some of the behaviors and why they behave a certain way. And it may help some of you that maybe you haven't figured it out this part of your life, just to see how those conversations go and see like, why doesn't the husband and wife talk about finances, or why do they have these beliefs about finances, or why do they overspend or underspend, or you know, it's really fascinating. So that might just uncover some things for you that might be helpful. Let me ask this question. On a scale of 1 to 5, I want everyone to go in the chat because this will just kind of help me. How open are you about your finances to anyone right now? So like 1 to 5. 5 is like my people that know me know that I'm going through difficulties or whatever. 1 is that this is something that you have a lot of shame around and you don't share this with anybody. Okay, so we've got pretty good there. Let me ask you this question. Scale of 1 to 5 again. And I'm going to put, actually, I'm going to put a line in the chat. So stop answering if you're answering the old question. I'm going to put a line here. All right. So scale of 1 to 5. 1, you are not even close to where you thought you'd be financially at this point in your journey in business. And 5, you are absolutely crushing it. This is a harder question to answer, but I want you to be really honest on this one, and I want to see where you guys are at. So some 3s, some 2s, some 1s, mostly 2s and 1s, and I'd probably average it out at less than a 2.5. I saw 1.5 in there. I don't think I saw many 4s. My guess would have been about a 2 average, and we're probably closer to 2 than 3 on this one. Why do you think that is? So why do you think that most agents, I just want to hear openly, why do you think that most agents aren't where they need to be financially or want to be financially? Is it like, I don't do the things I know that I should do? It's too competitive. The market's getting the best. Like, what's the reason you think you're not where you want to be financially? There's no right answer in this one. I literally just want to know why you think you're not crushing your financial goals. And if you're not engaged in typing in the chat, start doing that for me. All right, lack of budgeting, not knowing the work that needs to be done to get there, lack of knowledge on how to budget funds, lack of hustling, lack of discipline, focus, patience, the market, discipline and vision. They haven't read Profit First. Joe, you're supposed to give me your reason, not tell everyone their reason. That's not helpful. It's the thing we don't want to do here. No shame, no blame. I feel great about where I am because of where I started in the time frame. Lack of discipline, not doing lead gen, discipline, starting out. No consistency, mindset. Life keeps popping up. Surprises, lack of knowledge, business expenses, and credit cards. All of what they said, right? You just point arrows up. Consistency. Not generating consistent income, focused mindset, poor budgeting. People don't know where they are financially. For me, I've switched my focus. I pay myself a salary, learning conversion. So it could be, so I get, it's a combination of, as I read those lists, it's a combination of maybe it's skill. This is the calendar you should follow. These are the skills you should, develop. Or part of it might be will. Like there's mindset, or there's some, like I know how to lose weight, but I don't want to go to the gym and eat well, right? So that's like an easy analogy for me. It's like, I know how to be in shape. So when I'm 225 pounds and I'm fat and I'm not, it's not like I don't know how to be in shape. I just don't do it, right? So for some of you, it's like, you know what to do and you're just not doing it. And for others, you may not know what to do, right? I want to give you a couple of tools today, which I hope will be helpful to allow you to turn this around. How many, maybe I'll kind of say something I see of the real estate industry. Generally, I think as a real estate agent, there is a, and maybe just society in general, there's, we need to have people think a certain way about us. And so it's kind of keeping up with the Joneses. Does anyone feel that in real estate or just in general? It's definitely societal. I feel it, and it doesn't go away at any income level. Sometimes, so some yeses there, definitely feel it for sure. Okay. Let me, yeah, what's the question?
Could you elaborate a little bit on that? Like, what do you mean by keeping up with the Joneses?
Yeah, so this is lifestyle creep. So it is, if you make $10,000 a month and the lifestyle you want doesn't fit in $10,000 a month, as a society, Americans tend to spend $12,000 to $15,000 a month because they can't see life without Starbucks, or they can't see their kids not doing all the sports they want. They can't see living an $8,000 monthly life. They just have to live that 12 to 15 because all their friends seem to do it on social media. And this couple just went on this vacation for spring break, and how come they don't have money in the bank to do it? So it's kind of like that sense of like, people are doing things that you want to do, maybe you can't afford, but maybe you do them anyway. And you've left yourself in a position where your finances aren't where they need to be. And I think in real estate, it's like, it's the agent that owes 140,000. I mean, this is a true story. A guy I talked to that you wouldn't know this about him, has burned through $300,000 in retirement savings. This is in the last 2 years. 300 grand of retirement savings, has $142,000 bill due to the IRS, and I think they owe like $80,000 in their home equity line. Drives the big car, lives in the big house, has a country club membership, right? So that's exactly what I mean. Like, you're literally depleting your life savings because things aren't going, and he's not doing the things that he knows he needs to do to turn it around, right? So it's almost a little bit like head in the sand on some of these things that, in 90 days from now, every one of us could have a different outcome in any area of our life that we just decide to. So some of you today may decide to make a pivot around that. We just didn't know economic model. Yeah. So to Christina's point, there is, as you scale a business. So Christina and Sohail, they sell a lot of real estate, but they didn't really have the right economic model in place, and it's like all this money coming in. So let's just keep spending money. We're not tracking the way that we should. We don't know the economic model to scale, Sohail out of different parts of the business. So there's definitely part of it that's just a lack of knowledge. So that's totally fine. And some people were brought up. If you guys ever watch this or meet, maybe you won't think it's as good as I do. But like, most of us have our money beliefs based on almost 100% of the time in this show. It's like, how did you feel about money, or how did money play out as a kid? And it's like, it is what it is. And they show up in their own life now because of some of those things. So some of it is just, yeah, my parents, did this, and, now I do that. It's sort of stuff that we learn and we have to unlearn it. Feel if you have a lack of long-term goals, it's easier to be swayed, for sure. So we'll talk about that, Eric, as well. I do think, having a vision for your life. Yeah, Stephanie, nobody spoke about money when I was a kid. Yeah. So Brittany's watching that show as a family, which is awesome. Yeah. And Troy makes the comment, like, there's no shortage of, advertising from financial companies that will give you money or let you borrow money, that are like putting a vacation in front of you, and there's like a MasterCard emblem on the bottom right. Right. So that's definitely, part of it as well. Yeah. And there's billions of dollars going into advertising for you to leverage your lifestyle, to use leverage to be able to afford a lifestyle. Does anybody, and just go in the chat. I want one more data point, and then I'll get into some stuff that's going to help, and maybe not just commiserate with each other. I lost my train of thought. Does anyone find it hard, adapting and maybe being okay with, like, things are just different now? So 2021 deals were flying off the shelf. Maybe you didn't save the way that you should. Maybe you got a little lazy in personal spending and business spending. And now things have pivoted and you can't possibly see how to go back. Does anybody struggle with that? Like unwinding some things or getting back into parts of the business that you might have to get back into? So Sohail for sure. So Amanda for sure. Stephanie, kind of relate to that. So I'm working with somebody who has built an awesome business. He did 3 million GCI in last year, and did 3 million GCI the year before. 21, when he did 3 million GCI, he made over $1 million. 22, when he did 3 million GCI, he only made about $700,000, which is a lot of money, but I'm saying relative to like 1.2 the year before. Now he's going to do about 2.7 this year. So the business has gone down for a variety of reasons. And every year he's been forecasting growth, but not just being realistic about where the business is or where the market is. And he's spending money based on this figment of his imagination and not the reality of his situation. So I bring that up where it doesn't ever change, right? We as real estate agents, we are willing to, and we almost think we can just will it to be that we're going to solve our challenges with income. Versus like nobody wants to go from 15,000 a month personal spend down to 8,000 a month personal spend. Like you don't want to think that that's the answer. You want to think the answer is I'm just going to figure out how to sell a couple more homes this month. Right. So some of you may just have to have that moment as a family, maybe where we just have to look at everything and make some decisions on how to go back in time. Maybe the home you're in or the cars you're driving, or you've crept up in all of it. And now maybe the next couple of years aren't going to cooperate. I hope they do. Everything we bring to you every Tuesday is around you guys crushing production. So I don't want any of this conversation to be like, you can't do it, because I know you all can. But for some of you, it may be the reality where you just have to print out 6 months of business credit card expenses, 6 months of personal expenses. This is something for everyone to write down. This is probably the most important piece of homework. Print out, and I don't care if you're crushing your financial goals, there's hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month of stuff you're spending money on that you don't need to be spending money on. So that's just like one actionable item. And I would recommend doing a 6 month and then every 3 months doing it again. And all I do is I just go into, I have basically 2 businesses, 1 Amex for each business. So I'll print out 6 months of those, literally print it out on paper. It takes me hours to go through it. And as you go through it, you're either going to, I've done it different ways, but I will either, if I circle it, I need to research it. So I'm not sure if I need it or not. If I put a cross through it, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot that I signed up for Hulu. Like I don't watch Hulu, and it only cost me $8 a month, but it's a waste of $100 a year, right? Over 10 years, it's $1,000. So Hulu, I will mark through. I'll put an X on. That means I need to go cancel it. A check mark means that it is money well spent, right? So do that for personal and professional. Do a 6 month look back and then do it 3 months at a time. Okay. Yeah, the subscriptions, right? The whole new mode of business now in every business is about monthly recurring revenue. So they're all going to get you to sign up for something. A lot of it's a free trial that just flips into a monthly. Yeah, and it's not fun either, especially for those of you that are more like not into numbers and you want to believe the answer is in more sales and the visionary part of you. It's pretty challenging. And then there's some like annual charges that'll get you too. My wife hates it when I do it. She sees the printouts and says, "Here we go again." And then my wife tells me I already cut deep enough. Yeah, I mean, but if you cut deep enough, I mean, you want to live your life, but you can always add back, right? Okay, awesome. All right, let me bring up. I do have like a rhyme or reason with some of this stuff here. One tool, Jess, if you can find it, can you find our templated monthly net worth tracker? And let me just share my screen. And I want to make sure I just kind of get some of this stuff out. So I do this training often, at least once every year, if not once every 6 months. And surprisingly, there's not always the follow through that I think there should be. In terms of like, if I were to touch base with some of you, 3 or 6 months from now, like how many of you are doing the things? Can you guys, Matt Harris, can you see my screen? Financial Freedom Mastery. Thumbs up.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yep. Got it.
So my hope for all of you guys is that you, at a bare minimum, you do this 6 month personal, professional printout exercise and just be honest with yourself. probably want to do it with your spouse if you have one. And then to start tracking your net worth. And we're going to give you that. We're going to give you the tool to do that. And we do it monthly. I have a weekly version of it as well. At least monthly. So the first time you do it, if you've never done it, it's going to be really clunky, and you're going to be afraid of the answer, and you're probably not going to want to do it. You just have to power through that. And then really you have to set, who here is committing? I only have one page of videos. Who's here committing to going through the pain of doing it once and then doing it once a month? Okay. Who here is already doing it consistently every month? Okay, 1, 2. Okay, so 2 or 3 out of, I think I have like 30, maybe 40 people. So it's like in business, like how many of you track your numbers in your real estate business on a daily basis? Yeah, I haven't really met anyone that's like crushing real estate and they don't track certain things in their business. So same thing with your finances, the chances that you crush it financially dramatically decrease when you don't track this. It's not going to affect my life if you don't track it. I already track it. So I want you guys to commit to this. And once you get this going, it will take less than 10 minutes once a month. And so another thing to write down or do right now, the first Monday of every month, set up a recurring calendar appointment at 11 a.m. in your time zone. Give yourself 60 minutes. It won't take 60 minutes, but you're going to do your net worth. Just say net worth tracker and have it repeating 11 a.m. first Monday of every month. Okay. And then even if it's uncomfortable, you're going to see what it is, and you will be making pivots over time, right? 3, 6, 12, 24, 36 months in, you will have gone through this and you'll realize that, yeah, you can solve it with assets, but you can also begin to chip away. You know the debts that you have that you don't want to have, that you'll have to make decisions around making more money, spending less, and some of you have to put the difference not into investments, into just paying off junky debts. This doesn't matter what's going on in the market. A good market, if you're at a point now where you're not happy with your finances and we just came out of a really strong market, it's likely that it wasn't just the last 12 months or 6 months that led you to the point where you are, right? So that's a little bit of good, bad, things you can control and can't control led us to the point where our finances are what they are. The great thing is that we can make different decisions going forward. So one more, if you guys can humor me at this point, because this is just as much for me to learn more about where you guys are and what you're struggling with. What comes up for you? Like, what's the feeling you have as we get into a conversation about net worth and personal financial situation? Give me some words in the chat. Like what's a general feeling around it? And if you're just completely confident with it, you can say that, but it could be like shame or head in the sand, or, I ignore this area of my life. What is it for you? Anxious, nervous, anxiety, scarcity, too comfortable, need growth. Yeah, that's a good point. So you could be at a point where you have some comfort, but you also haven't achieved your stretch financial goals. Frustration, loser, anxiousness, hopelessness, anxiety, frustration, caution, getting there. I like that one. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. That's one of my favorite sayings. Taking too long to build, so maybe a little bit of impatience, excitement, scarcity, some security, but roller coaster. That's a really good one. Roller coaster. Raise your hand if you've ever felt like an income roller coaster in real estate. Like 1 month, you're like, I'm the best financial person ever. I cashed $50,000 this month, and you have no closings for 2 months, and you're like, I am a loser, or day to day. I've definitely felt afraid it's going to hurt to make the change. That's good. Some security, anxiety, avoidance, waste of time, too comfortable. Yeah, so this is one of those things that, it's kind of easy to ignore this area of your life. For some of you that aren't focusing on this, the first step, like I said, 6 months and 6 months, and then do that quarterly, and then just start tracking your net worth. And net worth, it's very simple. If you're in Real Estate B School, we've got training videos on how to input every number. It's just your assets line by line, and then your liabilities line by line. All your liabilities are your credit cards, your home mortgage, your car loans. Your assets are your checking accounts, your savings accounts, any 401k accounts that you have. And if you don't know how to track your net worth, just go to YouTube and like, how do I track my net worth? And there'll be like a 5-minute video from somebody that'll tell you how to do it, and you can use that template, right? So there's you can definitely get more information. I like this quote. Money isn't the thing that should drive us. But Jim Rohn set a goal to become a millionaire for what it makes of you to achieve it. Do it for the skills you have to learn and the person you have to become. So I think for a lot of us, and I've been here, especially in the early days of my journey, my business was my playground to just spend a lot of money on things, and they were mostly just distractions in the business. So the point of the business, like the real point of a business, is to be able to do all the right things, install the right systems to make an unreasonable amount of money in a reasonable amount of time, and have an overflow of cash to be able to do whatever you want to do with. This call is not about investment options, right? But to put you guys in a situation where there's just an unbelievable amount of overflow, and then you can decide what to do with it. Most of us, though, and Joe Grant mentioned the book Profit First, which is just a discipline around moving money. For some people, that's a hard book because it is a roller coaster for a lot of agents. There's not a consistent, 40, 50,000 coming in every month. But the point of it is that where your money is going to go. And the point of the business is just the vehicle we're using to build our net worth to whatever level we want it to get to. And yeah, it definitely does take time. And it takes focusing on the activities that we know make money. And even if we don't feel like doing them, we do them. But the point of the business is not to have this playground where we can just do what I want. I had a call with a guy, my frontline at EXP, and he did an incredible amount of business last year. I think like 167 million or something crazy. He had 3 agents leave his team. And he told me after the fact, I wish he would have called me as he was going through it. He's like, I was thinking, like, what's the point? Like, do I even want to do this? Like, maybe I'll just go down to like me and like an assistant. And no matter where you are in your journey, you will have times where you feel like there's got to be easier ways to make money. And he got through it, and he replaced those agents with stronger agents, and he's back on track to, do 150 million this year, and all's well. But mentally, I think the mental game of business is more important than actually like the skills. I think a lot of us look for tactics and where will the leads come from, when it's mostly just the mindset to be able to sit down and do the work. And I'll say this, the financial part, it's only one measure of success. So there's no, your priorities may include, being a good steward of your time and getting a really good return in the business, but this doesn't trump everything, right? I'll botch the, like Sam Walton on his deathbed. I don't know it exactly, but maybe it wasn't his final words, but it sounds better if I say it that way. I got it all wrong. So here's a guy who has like an unbelievable amount of money, but just focused on the wrong thing. So we don't want the money to trump everything. It just makes life enjoyable, makes your ability to help others, easier. And it does make life a whole lot less stressful. Yeah. Who said that? I blew it. Yeah, that was it. I just read a comment that Joy says, I've thought about driving a garbage truck at times after 25 years of real estate. I remember when I was like hard, like in the grind of real estate, in our market, Charlotte, you could be like 20 minutes from where I live and be in like cows. And I would be showing homes in God knows where back in the day. And I would come home and I would tell Julie, I'm like, honey, I saw this trailer on a nice piece of property. It can't cost more than, like, let's just do it. Like, let's stop all of it and live in this beautiful 10-acre lot in this, like, it was a nice double wide. It was a double wide. And I was just ready to like commit business suicide. Who here has been through that? Like, you're just ready to commit business suicide. Yeah. So but the reality of it is that we're not really employable at this point. I'm not employable. There's nobody that can employ me and put up with me at this point. And the money you can make in real estate is like multiples what you can make in a normal job, right? If you do the work and you put the systems together. All right. So generally we're in an industry where you're comparing yourselves to people that you know nothing about. What's the expression? All hat, no cattle. That is the real estate industry. So guard yourself against that, right? This story, this was a conversation I had yesterday with a guy in Silicon Valley that's externally, he's got all of his shit together and he's burned through almost $500,000 of savings in the last 2 years. Part of it was he has a brokerage that's not set up the right way and he's having to fuel that with his personal money. But you wouldn't know it externally, right? So he's still doing all the things that would lead you to believe that he's got it together, right? So don't ever look at somebody and judge yourself against them when you know nothing about them. What was the expression from Bold KW? It was, you're comparing your insides to other people's outsides. So stop comparing your insides with other people's outsides because you don't know anything about their situation, right? And nobody talks about this. I think this needs to be a topic of conversation where just more people are willing to talk about, you know, in not to bring up agent attraction, but in EXP, part of the conversation is, and we get to the same endpoint every time, is that you have no plan, like no legitimate exit strategy, and you're not saving enough to bridge the gap between where you are now and where you want to get to financially. But I think that conversation with other agents needs to be an open conversation about like, where are you financially? And then be honest with other agents about where you are financially. And maybe in that you can find somebody that you're willing to hold yourself accountable to doing those printouts or doing the, you know, sharing your net worth with a complete stranger, right? Just one other person that, you know, is external to that you're willing to. Oh, Wayne Dyer, don't look at other people's gardens, only tend to your own garden. I like that. All right, so let's get into a little bit here, and I think we're still good on time. Guys, as you come up with thoughts, please put them into the chat. This is really helpful to kind of hear where you guys are at. The thing that I found most helpful, and this is for many people that are successful when the market would generally have you believe that it's not, is there has to be some emotional leverage. So whatever that looks like for you. So it could be that you're at the point in your journey where you're looking for an exit, and it could be a picture overlooking a lake and you're going to buy a mountain house and retire. For me, back in the day, this was a picture taken in April 2010. This was my emotional leverage. So I had this picture printed out where I worked, and I was willing to do whatever it took to hit my goals, right? So part of it is the reality, like you have to get out of, there could be this paralysis that happens because you're down on yourself because you're not hitting your financial goals. You know, you're thinking the market is no homes are going to sell because of World War III. You know, you're in the 24-hour news cycle. You're comparing yourself to everyone on social media, and you're actually not in the actual game of business, right? So find your emotional leverage. I do think this is worth screenshotting. I want all of you to think about your business like an actual business. where everything you're doing in your business is with a mindset on you're actually building a business. Only it's like 1.8% of agents sell 25 homes or more per year. And at 25 homes, you're not financially free. So if you're not at 25 homes, you think that might get you to financial freedom. It's not going to get you to financial freedom. So you have to start to look at your business like an actual business. So what lead gen levers have I installed in the business that are systematically bringing in inbound high quality leads? Am I applying the discipline to have the conversations? Do I have a metric? I asked the question about who tracks their numbers. It was only of my screen of 40, it was only like 5 people, but if you don't track that one number, chances that you sell an unreasonable amount of real estate are really low, right? So I would argue probably 20 meaningful conversations every day. And it's not a cold calling conversation. It's just you need to be in conversation with decision-making adults about real estate. So start to look at your business like an actual business. Profit first, really good resource. You have to decide in advance where your money is going. So when a $10,000 commission check rolls into your bank account, like X dollars goes into the expense account, X dollars goes into the tax account, X dollars goes into the profit account, X dollars goes to pay me, right? So there's no profit first is technically twice a month, but you could do it on a commission check basis where you don't have $10,000 to spend, right? You know that you've got to pay the taxes. Probably half the people I've talked to in the last week, doing sales for Real Estate B School owe like a lot of money to the government, right? So you get that $10,000 check and your lifestyle maybe is such, or you're spending money on things that you don't actually part of that check has to go in a separate account where you're not going to owe back taxes to the government. But nobody talks about it, right? But I will tell you, half of the people I'm talking to owe money to the government, right? So again, it's something that nobody talks about. We talked about net worth tracker, right? You got to track your progress. You've got to do the quarterly printouts and ruthlessly eliminate the things that aren't, 100% necessary. And for some of you that aren't where you want to be financially, it's eliminating things that you've gotten used to. It's just the reality of it. Otherwise, you're going to continue to slip financially and you're not going to achieve your financial goals. I love that. Joe keeps a photo of his granddaughters. And there's no shame around any of this, right? So I think the shame comes in a lot for everyone else seems to have it together and nobody talks about this. And growing up, nobody talked about finances. But as a group, let's decide that we're going to stop doing that, right? So there's no shame in where you are. It's just a number, right? So the only time you can change something that you don't like about your current situation in any area of your life is today, right? So try not to carry around any heavy heart around any of this, because you probably, if you're on this call and you have some shame and you're not where you want to be financially and you're afraid to even track your net worth because you're thinking it's probably negative, I promise you there are others on this call that are in a worse situation than you and nobody's willing to talk about it, right? So you're just not alone. Everyone's challenged financially. Probably 90% of agents are struggling right now financially, right? So just let go of any baggage, emotional heaviness you have around this stuff. There's a really good, I don't love everything Dave Ramsey, but the Total Money Makeover was a really good resource. We went through that as a team, as a real estate team. We actually did an exercise where we did a 7 F's exercise. It's like a Tony Robbins Wheel of Life, but it's with 7 F's, like finances, family, fitness, faith. I forget all the other 3, and you grade yourself 1 to 10 in each of those areas. And half the team were a 1, 2, or a 3 in their finances. And we were like, holy cow, we didn't even know it. Right. But people that had massive credit card debt, they were not achieving their financial goals. And so we actually paid to have a facilitator come in. And I think it was a 6-week program where they they basically, Dave took that book and he has it can be facilitated. But even just going through that book, Total Money Makeover, for some of you, I know Stacy, our very own Stacy Peterson, has been Stacy, anything to comment on? You've been a Financial Peace University. Any comments on any of this, like what you saw in the Financial Peace and your experience kind of going through that?
Yeah, I think the hardest part for people with like going through like financial peace or changing your mindset or habits around spending is just removing your credit card, like you mentioned before, from all the things that are automatically happening, or like even for instance, like Amazon, right? And when you do those things, you could do that little piece and you are taking control back, because those things make it that much more easier for us to spend money. So even if you're not a budgeter and you're not a person that likes to talk to their spouse about expenses, or maybe you don't even want accountability around it, one easy way to gain control is to just get your credit cards off of things like that with discretionary spending. Also, another thing, and this is good to teach your kids, because even like my kids right now, everything's a card. Like they get gas and they're using their Apple Watch and they're like, beep, you know? And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, did you just go to the gas station? Yeah. I'm like, okay. Thanks for using my card. Use your own debit card, right? And they don't understand the difference even between debit cards and credit cards, because even when you go to a store, you can use your debit like a credit card and not put in a PIN. So it's so easy, one-click spending on everything. So that's kind of the simplest way even to get started. And when you do it as a family and even just make a goal, like, hey guys, we're going to quit buying all these things on, Amazon's a good one. I swear the Amazon guy is at our house every day. Like, I'm serious. I think he knows my dog. And so when you kind of stop doing those things and really take into account what you are spending, like, did you really need, I don't know, paper towels from Amazon? Did you really need like more pens, or did you just not want to go get the ones you have? Or, so just being a little bit organized can make a big difference and kind of help you in that journey. And it doesn't have to be shameful. Like, nobody budgets. Like, most people don't budget. I am not a good budgeter. I am not. And I run all the finances for my family. Now, I've done a good job, and so we kind of can run that way, but it is that mentality like of, oh, I'll just outwork it, if you're really like on this train of just spending. So that's my advice. Like, get your card off of Amazon would be like the top one, because it's just an easy way to go.
Yeah, that's really good. I did sign up for a good, what the heck is the name of it? I brought in all of my expenses into Copilot. So Copilot, I think it's copilot.ai. It just brings in all your expenses and your review and put them into different categories. And it's a really, really, you only got to tell it once, and it like 95% of the category expenses it categorizes accurately, but it'll just run in the background for a series of months. Like, train it a little bit in the beginning and let it run, and then you can really see where your money's going. And it's like, oh, holy crap, like we spent $1,500 last month eating out, or we spent my daughter Kendall, I don't know, for some reason she thinks I'm not going to be able to afford to send her to college. I think she's already looking at these like equestrian colleges, and she already knows that there's some ungodly amount of money. But she's like, family, and she's 13. She's like, we are going to shop at Costco from now on. Whole Foods is way too expensive. And then I'm humoring her. I take her to Costco. I'm like, there's no way Costco has any of the Whole Foods stuff we buy. Like, guaranteed, I'll just take her there once and we'll be done with it. They had every single thing, like 99% of the stuff. We're now saving like half of what we spend at Whole Foods. All the bars, like we would buy like $3.50 bars at Whole Foods, and my son eats like 4 of them a day, 5 of them a day. Now they're like 85 cents. And the raspberries, organic raspberries, I'm like, they're not going to have anything organic. They have a whole room of organic fruit, right? So we'll probably save $1,000 a month, if not more, on just groceries. So it's like little things like that. Real quick, let me see if there's anything else here. It is a habit. Stacy brought it up. The habit of, we're probably even worse. We've gotten better only recently because of Kendall. But I'm like, oh yeah, look, Amazon. I'm like, I wonder what came. Did I order it or did Julie order it? And then you're disappointed when it has your spouse's name on it. You're like, I'm like, I don't get to open a package, right? It's this instant gratification that we fall into. You guys know I'm obsessed, hopefully, about the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is one area of our lives that 100% falls into like the habit of getting coffee from Starbucks every day or multiple times a day, the habit of just picking up your Amazon app or, going to the grocery store 5 times a week, versus like now Kendall and I go to Costco once a week. My wife doesn't even shop anymore. Right. So, and I get to spend time with Kendall and my wife doesn't shop. It's like this win-win-win. So it's just the daily process. So it is a habit. I like the quote from Profit First: profit or wealth is not an event. It's a habit. Right. So you're not magically going to show up and in 1 year you close 1,000 transactions and all of a sudden there's $5 million in your bank account. Right? This is something you're going to build over 1, 3, 5, 10 years. You're going to systematically, through habit and discipline around your finances, that is the way for most of us to build a level of wealth that is uncommon in the world right now. And if we don't get a handle on this, it's not going to be likely. So I'd get clear on, different levels. I'll probably do additional training on, what financial freedom is. Schedule the net worth tracker. I think it's just one easy thing that we can all do. Schedule the quarterly, maybe every 4th one is a little longer time block where you're going to print out your quarterly spending and you're just going to ruthlessly eliminate the things that are coming in that, you don't need to spend money on. I really do like the Copilot. I like Copilot because it wasn't acquired yet. Hopefully it doesn't freaking get acquired by some big financial institution that like throws product at you. But mint.com got acquired by I use that app and it's all advertisements, right? Copilot it's just native app. It costs like $60 for the year or something, but you're not being like advertised, like spend this money or get this credit card. It's like, that doesn't even make sense that a financial app would be trying to get me to get a credit card, but, and then just stay focused. So that's the training for today. No shame, no blame. I promise you, if you just draw a line in the sand around these like simple disciplines and make this one of the things that you just decide you're going to focus on. Last question, and then I'll let you guys go. Only if you have a really good resource. One book that you've read in the last year around personal finances that you'd recommend to someone that's struggling. Only if you've read it and it changed your life or you think it's a really good resource. Mine would be Psychology of Money and Total Money Makeover. Love it. Richest Man in Babylon. Happy Halloween. I love that. I Will Teach You to Be Rich. Awesome. Brittany, that's Ramit, whatever his last name is. I really like that guy. He's super good. Profit First. Yes. So there you've got some resources if you're struggling with this. Okay. So I love you guys. Oh,
I was just going to say, this is Joni. I was going to add that one thing that people don't talk about is that you need to encourage agents in their career to buy rentals or invest so they can have some residual income coming in every month that would get them over the hump if they don't get a closing. And a lot of people are really successful when they do that. And sometimes they don't even think about it, but you do
for sure.
Pass a lot of deals on to your client, which you could benefit from.
Yeah, we had a guy come into our summit, and he does like 100 investment deals a year with like different partners and agents on his team. And he's like, we're the only industry that doesn't buy our own product. It's like constantly being the mindset of buying, looking out for deals, right? I want to put you guys in a position though that there's a delta. You know, you're selling a ridiculous amount of homes. You're not spending up to the limit every time. So there's no, and you have money to invest, right? So that's the only thing I'll say, I do talk to agents that are finances are awful and their holy grail is that they're going to buy 10 investment properties over the next 5 years, but they're not managing their properties, and they're not managing their finances even a little bit. Right. So yeah, one a year is awesome. All right, guys. Much love, much respect. We'll talk to you guys next week. I think I'm in town like the rest of the year. So I'll be on every one of these production masterminds, and the only one that we're not, the Tuesday in between, maybe the last two Tuesdays of the year that I won't be here, but definitely we're off the Tuesday between Christmas and New Year's. All right, guys. Love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Be good. Bye-bye.